I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Directors of the Golden Gate Bridge Highway and Transportation District for 24th March 2023. It is 10:01 a.m. now. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Thank you to the members of the public, both here in person and joining us through the audio option. I appreciate everybody's patience as we gather in this new spot, hopefully once only, but we'll see. And as we move through today's meeting. So Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So I just want to remind everyone that when you see the light on, that means the mics are live. Red will mean that they are not live. The only time they will be muted is when the public is speaking, so we can hear everybody clearly, and everyone on the phone can hear everyone clearly. So I just want to put that out there first. I'm going to start our roll call with Director Conroy. Present. Director Dorsey.
Present.
Ingardio.
Present.
Garbarino.
Present.
Giudice.
Here.
Grosval.
Here.
Hernandez.
Here.
Maston.
Here.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Present.
Rabbit.
Here.
Rodoni.
Here.
Safai is absent. Keep an eye out. Snyder.
Here.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Here.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
And President Thierio.
Here.
Thank you. And just for the benefit of everyone in the room, I wanted to call out on the staff that's in the room. So we have Dennis Mulligan.
Here.
And Joe Wire is not here today, but in his place is Jennifer Minucci. We have Ava Bauer-Furbish. Thank you. Kim Manolius.
Morning.
Dave Rivera.
Morning, Present.
Thank you. Mona Babauta is not here today, but Haitham Hamdan is here. Thank you. And Mike Hoffman is our new ferry division manager, but he's not here today, so you'll meet him next month. And we have Kelly Hopper. Thank you. That confirms everyone around the table and staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Director Hernandez, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. Madam Secretary, I believe next is public comment.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce Justine to introduce the telephone line public comments, but we're going to do the in-person public comments first and accommodate the people who've come to join us. So I'll have you, would you like to call in the first
I'll
person?
call them out.
Okay.
But let me ask Ms. Bach how many individuals we have on the line.
Morning, President Thierio. We have one speaker on the line, and then we have several people that have joined. So I would request a poll when you're ready for me to.
Okay.
So I know whether we're going 3 minutes or 2.
I think we'll be safe going with the 3. Yes.
All right. In that case, we have 3 minutes for public comment, and we'll start with Manuel Gamboa.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
Speak up a little. Oh, my son Kyle, in September of 2013, jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and died. Since then, his mother or me have been coming here to ask the board members and staff to try to do something to help prevent that from happening. Since then, well, we all know that there's a big construction going on, and there's a net. Since then, I've been saying thank you, and it really, I really can say thank you to you guys, because I've always told myself that when I could go out in that area of light pole 77, where the highway patrol said that, where my son jumped, and look over and to see this device that could have saved his life, I believe would have saved his life. That was pretty much the end time for me to be at peace with the bridge and with all of you. So today, what I wanted to say is that I want to just have some sort of appreciation for all of you. I know they say that without the families, of the loved ones that have passed away, but it was you guys that made it happen. Okay, with the voting, and some of you guys going to get funds for the suicide deterrent net. And so with that, that's my main message today, is to give you guys a whole lot of credit, as much as I guess I get, or my son gets, or the families prior and after that get. So with that, I look forward to the final construction of it, and just remember that I appreciate all of you guys and what has inspired and what's going to happen in the future, and that's saving lives from that net and people not being able to go there and take their lives. So, thank you again.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gamboa. Next, we have Dave Rhodey. Mr. Rhodey.
Board members, managers, staff, good morning. My name is Dave Rhodey. I'm with the Climate Reality Project. Great to see you all in person after 3 years of just calling in remotely. I've enjoyed a variety of occupations in my past: a business owner, a sex educator, a chef, a writer, and a community organizer. But the rest of my life is dedicated to promoting climate change awareness, championing climate justice, and campaigning for clean energy solutions. I come here each month because with 19 board members from 6 counties, the Golden Gate Bridge District wields a wide swath of influence over Northern California. In addition to the influence you have here, all of you have power rooted in the cities and communities you represent. That is why you need to hear what UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said this week when the latest UN IPCC climate report was released. Humans are responsible for all heating of the planet over the last 200 years. The average surface temperature of the Earth is hotter than it's been in 125,000 years, and our greenhouse gas emissions have not even begun to peak. But Monday's IPCC report also showed a path forward. It shows that limiting warming to 1.5 degrees centigrade is achievable. As Guterres said, it will take a quantum leap in climate action. Our world needs climate action on all fronts, everything, everywhere, all at once. That is where you come in. If you do everything in your power at the Bridge District and in your communities, you can be part of the solution. The destruction we've seen here in recent weeks caused by the sequence of 12 atmospheric rivers is just the beginning of what we're going to see. In other parts of the world, mostly in countries that have had the least to do with climate change, the impact is even more powerful. The widespread drought in Ethiopia and Kenya and Somalia have killed 50,000 people in the past year. 2.1 million people have been left homeless last year after a third of Pakistan was flooded. Already 500,000 deaths annually are caused by the climate crisis. The UN International Organization for Migration estimates that we'll see as many as 1 billion climate refugees in the next 30 years. Although the time is short, there is a clear path forward. We need to achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions within 10 years. And all of the state of California and cities like San Francisco have put ambitious goals in place. We are not on track to achieve them, not at the local, state, or federal level. We have too many rules in place that wed us to the use of fossil fuels. Everything, everywhere, all at once is a lot to ask, but that's what it will take to provide a thriving future for our children and grandchildren. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rhodey. That's all I have for speaker cards. Ms. Bach, do you have other speakers for us?
I do. I have one speaker, and then I would like to poll, if you don't mind, when that speaker is finished. Our first speaker is David Pilpel.
Thank you, Mr. Pilpel. Please go ahead.
Great. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Excellent. So a couple of quick things on the minutes. Item 5 in the packet, page 23. In reference to the Transportation Committee in the middle of that page, that meeting was actually on Friday, February 24th. The date is correct throughout, but just the reference to the day instead of Thursday, it should read Friday, because that was moved to Friday last month. On the General Manager's Report, item 6A, thank you very much for the updates and the photos on the lane restriping and the Alexander Ave repairs. The General Manager's Report is always comprehensive and informative, and thanks to Dennis and Justine for their continued work on making that a useful document. For what it's worth, other agencies and directors' reports, general managers' reports are not as comprehensive and informative as this district, and so it's really a model for other agencies. Moving on, the Pedestrian and Bicycle Advisory Committee meeting in April, I understand, may be at Whistle Stop or now Vivillon in San Rafael. I would urge staff to find ways to ease the burden on members to attend. I mean, we're going to have to get there and get back in the evening, and so we'll do that. But I just would like us to be sensitive to the fact that we're now burdening volunteer members of advisory committees, which is different from the responsibilities that you have as directors. And finally, I look forward to the April board and committee meetings, wherever they may be. And thank you, as always, for listening to my comments yesterday and today. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pilpel. I did see the secretary nodding at your correction of the Transportation Committee date. Madam, Ms. Bach, do you have any other speakers for us?
I would like to poll, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Thank you. Good morning. If you've joined and you'd like to speak at the board meeting this morning, please use ** to unmute yourself and give me your name. If you'd like to speak at the board meeting this morning, please press ** to unmute yourself and give me your name. Mr. President, I'm not hearing anybody that's unmuting and would like to speak this morning.
Then we'll consider that it for public comment. General Manager Mulligan, you generally weigh in here. Do you have anything you'd like to say?
There's not much to say other than to thank the speakers. I really appreciate Mr. Gamboa driving down from east to Sacramento for they've been going on 9 years now, and your dedication is an inspiration to all of us. Mr. Rhodey, thank you for your passion, your advocacy, and your focus, and we look forward to you to continue to keep us on the right path and to keep us pointed in the correct direction. And Mr. Pilpel, your ability to review our minutes so thoroughly is greatly appreciated. So thank you for that. And I think that's all there is to say this month.
Thank you, Mr. Mulligan. Do you want to announce the next item, or shall I go ahead?
You go ahead.
I will then.
You're back in the element.
That's right. Next item is the consent calendar. You've all had an opportunity to review it, members of the board. Are there questions or comments on the consent calendar? I'm looking around. I'm not seeing any hands raised. So I will then ask for a motion to approve the consent calendar. There is a motion and there's a second. You have those, Madam Secretary.
Got it.
Then we can proceed to a roll call vote.
Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Pilpel, for catching our typo. I always appreciate your help. For first and the second on item 5, starting with Director Conroy. Aye. Dorsey.
Aye.
Cardio.
Aye.
Garbarino. Aye. Uduche.
Yes.
Roseball.
Aye.
Hernandez. Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Deere is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 69.
16 ayes, the motion passes. Next item would then be the general manager's report. General Manager Mulligan.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board, members of the public and staff. My written report is before you. I do respectfully ask the board to take an action today to ratify an emergency action that I took associated with damage to our San Francisco Ferry Terminal ramp repair. Since your last meeting, I have executed a change order in the amount of $155,150. I'm pleased to announce that the inner berth is now open as of Monday of this week in advance of the Tuesday weather. Since I took this action, I do seek your ratification. There's lots of details about what the work is in the staff report. I won't go through that for you. And with that, I'm available to answer any questions on that action.
So we will pause your report to see if there are any questions or comments from board members on the general manager's emergency action. I'm seeing none. So can we have a motion to ratify the emergency action? There is a motion. Do we have a second? And there's a second. Any further discussion on the item? There was none in the beginning. So, Madam Secretary, roll call vote.
Thank you. Voting item 6A1 with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy. Dorsey.
Aye.
Guardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosbold.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Deere is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 69 ayes again. Thank you.
16 ayes. Again, the motion passes. General Manager Mulligan, please continue your report.
Thank you, Chair or President Terrio. My written report's before you. I will highlight a couple items in the report and one that's not in the report. I was remiss. It is important to mark the passage of time. Monday, March 27th marks the 10-year anniversary of the Golden Gate Bridge converting to all electronic tolling. We're the first bridge in the country to convert to all electronic tolling. For those that were not here then, it was arguably some risk, but it's good for the environment. It's good for our finances. And for those that weren't here, I wish to assure you that we took care of our people. We had the world's greatest toll collectors, the friendliest toll collectors. For those that drove through all the bridges, I think you would concur in that. And so we tried to give them all opportunities elsewhere in the district. Our line to them was, we can teach you to drive a bus, but we can't teach you to smile. So 20% of them became bus drivers. Some became laborers. One became a dispatcher, bus servicers, a variety of positions in the organization. We had a half dozen who were a little shy of retirement. So the board took an action to bridge their retirement for medical benefits. And at that time, you could buy CalPERS credit so that they could go off and finish their career here. So it's been 10 years, and I just thought it was appropriate to kind of highlight that and to pause. Our project manager in implementing all electronic tolling is sitting here today, Jennifer Minucci. A lot of people were involved in the team, but you have one person that you point to be the leader of the team. And so
Hello, everybody. Please be patient, and we'll get some audio going here in just a moment. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. We are working on getting ourselves reconnected. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your patience, everybody. They are working on getting themselves reconnected at the Irish Cultural Center. I'll be back online.
I did spend a week in Ireland once, and it was all this and worse.
Got
Yeah.
it? Are you open now? Okay.
When I went to Ireland, it was
All right.
sunny the whole time. I don't even know what you guys are talking about the whole time.
We hosted the Irish Minister of Justice in our office on that Tuesday when that was a horrible storm. He was complaining bitterly. Like,
You're like, what do you mean?
Come on, I've played golf in this in Ireland.
I think we're back live. Is that correct, Amaret?
That is correct. We're back up and running.
All right.
For those listening through the internet, this is Dennis Mulligan, the general manager. I'll pick up where I left off. I want to thank staff for their tireless efforts, the operational staff in particular, for this last winter. Tuesday's events were quite problematic, and the extreme weather affects bridge, bus, and ferry, so it affects all of our employees. At San Francisco Ferry Terminal, we had waves crashing across the gangways. Pier 1, they recorded a 77-mile-an-hour gust, which is immediately adjacent to the ferry building, not on top of a high mountain where you expect high winds. We had a whole host of challenges with lots of trees coming down. Our bus service, some of it operates through the Salesforce Transit Center. That could not happen on Tuesday because glass was falling down from the adjoining buildings. And so we had to redirect service, not just in San Francisco around glass, but around trees elsewhere. We had buses take ferry passengers home back to the North Bay. And then obviously we had lots of challenges at the bridge with trees coming down and other issues. So I just want to take a moment just to acknowledge the efforts of our staff. They're out there regardless of the weather, 24/7, helping people move in the Golden Gate Corridor safely. And Tuesday safely was a very challenging word, but they did it extraordinarily well. No passengers were injured in spite of all the challenges that folks face, particularly on the water. So just want to give a shout out to staff. Then for my written report, I always have an item that talks about the status of travel in the Golden Gate Corridor. Travel is still way down in the Golden Gate Corridor. When there's horrific weather events, it's even down a little bit more. So we look forward to warm weather and things bouncing back. But as we speak today, there are 150,000 less people in downtown San Francisco every day. There are 20 Salesforce towers worth of unleased office space. And so that affects travel in the Golden Gate Corridor, whether it's by bridge, bus, or ferry. Weekend and recreational travel is back. People will gladly hop on a ferry boat to go to a ball game. But we are offering much less service to make our one-time federal COVID relief money last as long as possible and to meet our customers' demand. During the morning commute, our bridge traffic, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Monday through Friday, is down 30%. Overall, it's down about 15% on a good weather week. And bus and ferry commute service is still significantly down. But for the newer directors, during the pandemic, we cut all of our commute bus service. We cut all of our weekend ferry service, but we maintain service to every port. But during the pandemic, we maintained virtually all of our regional bus service that goes from Santa Rosa to San Francisco and across the Richmond San Rafael Bridge, because some members of our community do not have access to an automobile, and they have jobs they have to go to, they have appointments they have to attend, and so we've maintained all that service. That ridership is mostly back. It's the commute service that we see this huge drop off, and we're seeing a slow rebuilding. And so I just wanted to acknowledge and highlight that since we have some folks that are new. I'll skip over most things. Normally, I don't talk about the presentations done by district staff, but I will highlight one just because it may be of interest, and we will have staff do a presentation at a future board meeting on the topic. But we had staff present to the UC Berkeley Center for Labor Research and Education on February 10th. Richard Diaz is one of our bus operators who's acting as our apprenticeship coordinator, and Mona Babalto runs our bus business. They presented on a very novel joint venture we have with our bus union, Amalgamated Transit Union Local 1575 represents our bus operators. We have a partnership with them and CalWorks, a nonprofit, and with Santa Rosa City College and the College of Marin for pre-apprenticeship and apprenticeship programs for bus operators. And so folks want to hear about what they're doing, and a lot of good work is underway. We're growing bus operators. We're working very collaboratively with some community-based organizations to provide additional wraparound services for those individuals, such as the Canal Alliance. And so at a future meeting, I'll have Mona do a presentation to the appropriate committee on that. But I wanted to draw your attention to that. Then I would obviously like to recognize our employees who have retired or have service milestones. First, I'd like to recognize the retirement of Anthony Texon. He was a bus operator who retired, will retire on March 31st after 25 years, 2 months, and 19 days of service. So we wish him a long and happy retirement. Some employees, we like to say, come here and people generally don't leave the Bridge District. As evidence of that, I want to acknowledge the 40-year service award received by Lance Reddick. He's one of our communication electronic technicians at the bridge that keeps all of our security systems up and running, that allows us to protect the bridge for future generations. He joined us actually in 1981 as a temporary employee, so actually has more than 40 years of service with us. But in 1983, he became a permanent employee. So he's just worked on countless projects at the bridge for our communications and security infrastructure. And I would just be remiss if I did not acknowledge his 4 years of service. In his free time, he enjoys working with search and rescue units in Marin County. He also enjoys working at the governor's office in Sonoma County of Emergency Services as a communication coordinator. So he's very engaged in the community. Then we have an employee celebrating 30 years of service. Nicole Gilardi is a purchasing officer in the district division. She's been with the district since March 29th of 1993. She worked in the bus division, and then she worked in the bridge division on behalf of procurement services. And the folks that rely upon her are very appreciative of her services. Then, while we have a steel bridge, we have one employee who is a cement mason. And so I would like to recognize 20 years of service of Donald Rockamore. He's been a cement mason since March 13th, 2003 at the bridge. We have a lot of different collective bargaining units at the bridge. We have a couple smaller crafts where we may have only 1 or 2 individuals, but he is a stellar employee, so I want to recognize his 20 years of service. The next individual who has 20 years of service working for the Bridge District is Daryl Bailey. He's an iron worker in the Bridge Division. He has, in fact, though, worked on the bridge longer than 20 years because we hired him after he'd been an iron worker with Balfour Beatty working on the North Approach Viaduct seismic retrofit project. I think he was working on the bridge and saw that the bridge is an interesting, fascinating place to work. And we saw that he was a very talented iron worker, so we picked him up. But he's been with us since March 13th, 2003. The next person with 20 years, a lot of people have 20 years this month, is Savardi Mao. Savardi is a bus operator with 20 years of service who started on the Ides of March in 2003. And finally, it brings us to the Employee of the Month. The Employee of the Month is in our bus division. She's presented to the board previously. She's Senior Operations Analyst Beverly Wong. She's been instrumental in many initiatives at the bus division, including our Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, a new requirement from the Federal Transit Administration. She is a gem to work with. She gets things done. And I'm not reading a script here. I'm speaking from the heart. We're very, very, very lucky to have her working for us. She takes care of things that are new and challenging. She gathers the team, stays on top of it, manages the project, and gets it done. But even more noteworthy, she received a Perfect School Attendance Award in 6th, 8th, and 10th grades when she attended school in Los Angeles, California. Some people don't change with the passage of time. She currently lives in South San Francisco with her husband, George, and her daughter, Kathleen. And in her free time, she enjoys spending time with her family, friends, hiking, photography, and traveling. And that concludes my report, and I'm available to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, General Manager Mulligan. I started writing dispatches for the ironworkers in the first part of 2002. I don't recall if I wrote Daryl's dispatch. I may very well have to the Golden Gate Bridge District. Are there directors with questions or comments on the General Manager's report? I see none. So then we can move right along to turning the page. The attorney's report. Mr. Manolius.
Thank you, President Terrio. My written report before you. Happy to take any questions. And I know you're all disappointed, but there will not be a closed session today. And I expect that we'll make up for that in the future.
And there is apparently a director with a question for Mr. Manolius.
Aren't we supposed to ratify the emergency?
We've already done so.
We take a vote? All right, fine.
You said yes. I'm gonna that was before the internet went down.
Things just fly right by in these meetings. Yes.
I even moved it.
So are there any other questions or comments on the attorney's report? Seeing none, that requires no ratification. And we can move along to the engineer's report. Ms. Bauer-Furbush, if you would.
Thank you, President Terrio, members of the board. My written report is before you, and I would like to highlight a few projects that are described in my report. First, the suicide deterrent. The work is really progressing on the suspension bridge for the installation of the net. And if you are on the bridge or we'll look at it from the distance, you will see that the net right now is installed from the south end of the suspension bridge, which is near the fourth point, up to the North Tower, which means that this is over 70% of the length of the bridge. In span one, the net is in place, however, is fixed to the border cable with temporary ties. And what the contractor is doing right now is sewing the net. And the term sewing represents exactly how this is done, which means that the edges of the net are manually sewn with the stainless steel wire rope to the border cables. And then going to the south half of the main span, as I reported before, the net is completed. The sewing is done. In span 3, the contractor began sewing of the net and is progressing from the north to the south. And then in terms of the towers, the contractor completed installation of the access for the net installation at the North Tower, and they will start installation of the net supports pretty soon. With regard to the South Tower, they are still in process of installing the work access. And finally, the north back span. This is this portion of the suspension bridge north of the North Tower. The contractor installed the access for the installation of the arms and began installation of the arms in that location. And moving on to the everybody's favorite project, which is the Toll Plaza building elevator repairs. The work has really progressed quite well. And there was a little glitch because of the intrusion of water due to those recent storms in the elevator pit. So the contractor has to do an extra waterproofing there. But we hope that we may have the state inspector to do the inspection either next week or the following week. So things are going really, really well. And maybe soon we'll have ribbon cut. Then, as you know, we have a project going to minimize noise generated by the bridge during strong winds. So the project involves installation of 22,000 clips on each picket on the west side of the main span. Right now, we will receive, mid of April, we will receive the first batch of those so-called clips. And the reason we're doing this because we don't want to fabricate 22,000 clips and find out that there is a glitch that prevents us to easily install them. So This 25 clips will be our test run, and hopefully when the contractor goes to the full production, it will be perfect. Moving on, the board awarded the Suicide Deterrent System Rescue Training Net project, and the notice to proceed to the contractor was issued on March 20th. And what the contractor has to do is to prepare work plans and to be able to coordinate with the operations of the fire station. And also the way this project is phased, that all the materials, net, all the net support and so on, they all have to be fabricated and delivered before the field work can start. This will minimize to any problems with interfering with the fire station operations. And finally, the board awarded the Toll Plaza Admin Building Door and Window Rehabilitation Project, and the notice to proceed with this work was issued to the contractor on March 13th. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any question that you may have.
Are there questions or comments for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? Director Garbarino.
I want to make Jim feel better. I think I missed something. The clips, the 22,000 clips, was that for the sound?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Basically, this looked like an aluminum shape in a kind of C shape that will be pushed on the edges of the both outer and inner edges of the pickets. And we did the wind tunnel test, and through the testing in the wind tunnel lab, we developed a proper shape to mitigate the noise as much as possible.
Yes, I'll start with Director Conroy.
Back to the clips, the concept was tested, but how
Yes.
the actual clips that they're going to fabricate, are those going to get tested first before they go onto the bridge?
No, because the shape and the size of what is fabricated matches exactly what we tested in the wind tunnel. And when we did the wind tunnel test, we use aluminum. We play with many different shapes in terms of what the clip is facing when the air is flowing. And it was very interesting to see that little tweaks in the shape of that clip made huge difference.
Any further, Director Conroy? And Director Snyder.
I was just going to ask if they're going to be painted international orange.
Absolutely.
You don't want gray out there, no.
So what happened after we finished the testing in the lab, we brought some of those clips and they were painted. We painted them with the international orange, and Director Grosbo came on the bridge, and we had to point to the pickets to let him know, okay, you see, this is where the clips are, because they are practically invisible.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Bauer-Furbush? Director Maston.
So that's another interesting aspect of the thing. They are not glued or in a very harsh way. There is a rubber insert that will be placed inside the C shape, and basically the clips will be pushed onto the picket, and the rubber can extend. And so we need what we decided to do is to play safe. So we have probably few spots on the top and the bottom where we use the special glue. But other than that, we already tested that this works really well, and it's reasonably easy. It's quite easy to install. So we hope that maybe we can have our bridge forces, or maybe we can add temporary workers to our bridge forces to do this work.
So they can be pushed on, but the glue will prevent them from being pulled off.
Frankly, we decided to do the glue application so people don't take them as souvenirs.
Sell them on eBay.
Project for some teenager. Yeah.
Okay. Are there other directors with questions or comments for Ms. Bauer?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
So in terms of the longevity, especially of the rubber portion of this, how does that play out?
So this is highly environmental resistant material that we will be using. And another reason we're using this material is to isolate aluminum from steel. So we do not want to go on the bridge and find that electricity ate our ticket. So there is a dual function, but yes, and another thing is that rubber material is quite hidden inside, so does not have a lot of UV exposure.
What's from galvanic connection? Is it?
Yeah, galvanic.
Galvanic connection. Director Rabbit.
Since we're getting into some detail, I'm just curious. We went down that. I am curious. Where on the picket do these things rest? Are they pushed to the top rail, the bottom, or are they in between somewhere?
So they basically pushed slightly under the top rail, okay, and they have to clear the bottom rail. But
really?
Oh. Right. So if you look at it, it's the full length of the full height of the picket.
It's important that people know the pickets at this location are not the old I-beams.
Right.
They're just a plate.
Flat bar.
It's a flat bar.
Yeah.
I was just clip to me denotes something
Right.
smaller. I didn't realize that they were that length. So thank you.
Anyone else? This is great stuff. I want details on these clips. Director Hernandez.
Perhaps the last question on the clips. What is the lifespan of these clips? Will they have to be maintained, replaced over a certain period of time?
So we expect that they will have quite longevity. Yes, and they will have to be maintained like everything else. This will include painting. We will have to paint the railing, and as this work is done, the clips will be painted as well. And also in our order, we of course made sure that we have some extra.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any other directors with comments or questions on clips or anything else? Or then thank you, Ms. Bauer-Furbush. Then we can move along to action items. Yesterday, the Building and Operating Committee met. There were various actions that are coming before you today. They were discussed at some length yesterday at that meeting. But I'm going to turn it over to Chair Garbarino for her report.
Thank you. I feel a bit like in the fourth grade when I was moved back a reading group because of lack of performance. I want and succeeded there. I want to thank Thomas for his grace with which he asked me on my way out whether I would like a script back. So I'm back to the script, which is all good. And thank you, President Theriault. I would like to begin by thanking each and every one of you for letting me take the lead in our first in-person meeting in 3 years. Thank you for writing that. Truly, it was heartwarming. Hugs all around at the beginning of the day. Furthermore, I am elated to see our directors, both current and new, in person, and look forward to getting to work with you and extending our district's initiatives. With that, I would like to present item number 8A1 to authorize execution of the Fifth Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2018B082, Temporary Structures Engineering Advisor Support Services for the construction of the Golden Gate Bridge Physical, Suicide Deterrent, and Traveler Systems with JA Engineering Incorporated of Livermore, California, in an amount not to exceed $1,200,000. Also, authorize execution of the third amendment to agreement number 16R350000, Construction Zone Enhancement Enforcement Program Services with the California Highway Patrol in an amount not to exceed $1,280,000, and authorize an increase in the amount of $2,480,000 in the FY 2023 Bridge Division capital budget for project number 1526, Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System Project, in concurrence with the Finance Auditing Committee and as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Are there any board members with questions or comments on this item? I see none. So, Madam Secretary, we can proceed to a roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item 8A1 with a first and second, starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Meston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes.
15 ayes. The item passes. Chair Garbarino, please continue.
Thank you, and thank you, Almaret, for so many, many things. I would like to present item 8A2 to approve award of contract number 2022D 067 Transportation Statistics Reporting System and Implementation Services with Translite LLC of Pleasanton, California, for a 5-year base term with up to 5 additional 1-year option terms for a total amount of $1,794,538. Authorize a contract contingency of $205,814 for a total contract amount of $2,352. And authorize the general manager or designee to approve amendments to the contract to allow for future years' annual recurring maintenance and support after the base term and option terms, provided that funding has been allocated in the annual budget and such renewals are in the district's best interest. With the understanding, too, that subsequent years' maintenance and support may be subject to annual cost increases, as well as any additional license fees, as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
And again, we have a motion. Do we again have a second?
Second.
And we again have a second. Is there any discussion on this item? Comments or questions from members of the board? Again, I see no hands up. And so, Madam Secretary, another roll call vote.
Thank you. Moving on, we're voting on 8A2 with the first and second. Director Conroy. Aye. Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosboll.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Meston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes. Yes.
President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 16 ayes.
16 ayes. Item again passes. Chair Garbarino, are you coming to the end of your script?
Aye, that concludes my report. Thank you, but I might suggest a field trip to the cliffs once they're put in so that our curiosity can be sustained. Thank you.
Field trip.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Garbarino. The next item is the Finance and Auditing Committee. Again, these items were discussed yesterday at the committee's meeting at some length. Chair Rabbit, your report, please.
Thank you, President Terrio. The Finance Auditing Committee recommends the approval of item 8B1, approving actions relative to the Low Carbon Transit Operations Program to authorize the general manager or his designee to execute and submit related certifications and assurances and agreements on behalf of the district, and to approve submission of a grant application for the MV Del Norte replacement project in fiscal year 22-23 as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
I'll second.
There's a motion and somebody jumped right in on a second. Is there any discussion, comments, or questions from members of the board on this item? I'm seeing none. So once again, a roll call vote, Madam Secretary.
Thank you. Voting on item 8B1 starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Ingardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Judice.
Yes.
Grossbull.
Aye.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai. Just left. Absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
You have 15 ayes.
15 ayes, still enough for the motion to pass. Chair Rabbit, please continue.
Thank you, President Terrio. Want to start by thanking Ron Downing and his staff for their involvement and continued engagement over the past several months with our 5-year FAIR program scenarios to get us all to today's recommendation. With that, the Finance Auditing Committee recommends the approval of item 8B2, approving the fiscal years 23-24 through 27-28 5-year FAIR program to include option 2 for Golden Gate Transit fares and Golden Gate Ferry fares, with the understanding that the proposed program would also increase fares for the Americans with Disabilities Act ADA compliant complimentary transit service, amend the master ordinance accordingly, approve the associated Title VI equity analysis, and authorize the filing of a notice of exemption under the California Environmental Quality Act, with the understanding that the FAIR program would take effect July 1st, 2023, with the exception of increases on Golden Gate Ferry special event fares to Oracle Park and Chase Center, which will be addressed in a separate future action as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Various possibilities for a second. Are there any questions or comments from members of the board on this item under Chair Rabbit's report? Yes, Director Grossbull.
Well, I realized in that discussion yesterday, I'm clearly in the minority. So, I do appreciate Ron's and Joe's and their staffs and Dennis's comments. And I appreciate the fact that we're continuing those low income fares at a low level. So thank you for that. I guess all I would ask is at some point in the next year, if we could have a discussion, either at the appropriate committee or board meeting on, is there anything we could do to try and induce more ridership? You know, as I said yesterday, all we've done in 3 years is 1 weekend of discounted fares, and the staff and the board may conclude there's nothing. I realize that many people in Marin are not fare sensitive as they are in some areas. And Dennis has been very persuasive about how low it is in downtown San Francisco. I'm in an old 8-story building, and there's only 2 offices occupied on my floor, so on Pine and Montgomery. So, but anyway, that's all I ask. I'll support this. Thank you.
Staff will gladly come back in the next several months with some options and strategies, let you know what we are doing with partner agencies collectively in the region and what we could do perhaps individually, and to update you on the status of it.
Thank you.
We also have a strategic planning effort in progress, and this could be a subject for that. Anyone else from the board? Oh, that's right, Director Giudice.
I just wanted to compliment the staff on this and the nuance and the sensitivity which they approached this was really wonderful, and I'm in full support of option 2.
Thank you, Director Giudice. Anyone else from the board? I see no one. So, Madam Secretary, time for another roll call vote.
Thank you. We're voting on item 8B2 with the first and second, starting with Director, excuse me, frog. Starting with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey.
Aye.
Ingardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Judice.
Yes.
Grossbull.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Thier is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
15, and again, the motion passes. Chair Rabbit, you have more for a second.
Yeah, thank you, President Cheerio. My last item to present is item 8B3, to approve the renewal of the annual delegation of investment management authority to the auditor controller for fiscal year 23-24, as per Rule 11 in the investment policy, Section E, delegation of authority of the rules of the board, and as provided for in the California Government Code, Section 53607, and as detailed in the staff report, and I so move.
There is a motion. Do we have seconds? There's a second. Any discussion on the motion? Questions, comments, etc. And again, I see none. And so again, Roll call vote.
Thank you. Item 8B3 with the first and second, starting with Director Conroy. Aye. Dorsey.
Aye.
Engardio.
Aye.
Garbarino.
Aye.
Judice.
Yes.
Roseball.
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Neston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr. Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Sefai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Deere is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Here.
Second President. I'm moving fast. And President Terrio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 15 ayes.
And again, the motion passes. Chair Rabbit, I think you got off light. Anything more for us?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Rabbit. So that's it for action items. Do we have addresses to the board? And I'll get to you, Director Cochran, in a bit.
I have no addresses to the board unless.
Yes, you had one.
If it's appropriate, through you, I just want to make mention, since we just talked about two items on MTC, of which I serve and just got reappointed. I'm going to be chair of a new committee coming forward called the Regional Network Management Committee, I think, which we've talked about. And as we all wear many different hats, I can assure you that my hat will be a little bit of an international orange color as I serve in that capacity. I do think that there's, and Dennis and I have talked about that. Dennis has been very much engaged. This is really about making the 27 transit agencies within the Bay Area more coordinated and acting as one, kind of the seamless approach. I think we all recognize there's some low-hanging fruit, and a lot of that has been accomplished and can continue to go down that route, whether it's fare coordination, transfers, wayfinding, websites, all that kind of informational. Then, of course, as you move up and try to really perhaps make some more aggressive actions, it becomes more and more and more difficult with pensions, labor, all the other things that are there. But this is being taken on by MTC, and appreciate Dennis's role in that, and we'll continue to have that. And I look forward to working on that. The second thing is also related, also was named to an ad hoc fiscal cliff committee, which is a bit of a misnomer. And as Dennis mentioned before, there's not every agency. It really depends on how you're financed. And of course, our district, with reliance on tolls that are down, has taken a hit and will continue to take that hit. SMART, of which there are members here, which is financed through sales tax revenue, which has not taken a hit, does not have the same financial pressures. And that's true of the 27. There's a whole blend of different financing options. So look forward to those discussions as well going forward. But I think both of those are pertinent to this district, and just wanted to make mention of those new roles out there and the coordination that will take place. So appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Rabbit. The Regional Transit Coordination Committee chairmanship in particular is work. Thank you for taking that on. Are there any other directors, again, telling Director Cochran, I'm going to get to him in a bit, with addresses to the board? I see none. We have, knock on wood here, no COVID-related special order of business this time around, and hopefully never again. So we will pass by that and move along to unfinished business, of which, again, we have none. So, Director Cochran, you have a report for us on
Yes, I do.
Your travels.
My travels and a few others. We this past 2 weeks ago, March 7th through 10th, we visited Washington, D.C. There were our General Manager, Dennis Mulligan, District Secretary Amaret Ko-Wong, Director Chris Snyder, our D.C. lobbyist Paul Schlesinger, and myself. Other than a little problem getting there, I had United hold a plane for half an hour so that I could get on my trip to Washington, which I was very appreciative and very astonished that they would do that. But anyway, they must have known I had beside being the green, they had the orange with the bridge. And I did pass out some bridges for that. On March 8th.
You go to buy your way.
They treated
Is that under Form 700?
It might be a little expensive on a 777. Yeah. Anyway, starting on March 8th, we met with Congressman Robert Garcia's new chief of staff, our old friend, Robert Edmondson, previously Nancy Pelosi's chief of staff. And Robert has been very instrumental in helping our district with the funding. You got to remember, with all members and staff that we met with, our sincere appreciation for their continuous work for the Golden Gate Bridge funding of the final phase of our seismic retrofit. Our next visitation was with Department of Transportation, Deputy Assistant Charles Small, and he was very, very pleasant, and I believe he was out just last week. And of course, our general manager treats these folks with a lot of favors, you might say, the viewing of the Anchor House or the tour of the North or South Tower. Our next visit was with the Department of Transportation Director of Bridge Structure, Joey Hartman, and the agenda. And with that, several of his staff had come in and talked with us. On my agenda, I'd missed Senator Padilla on Wednesday, but the other members of our crew made it. They called me and they called on my phone. I always turn that phone off when I don't feel well. I didn't know that we had something else going. We had dinner with Congressman Huffman Wednesday evening, a nice evening, and then Thursday morning we met with Frida Patcher. She's Senator Feinstein's legislative assistant, and of course she is from San Francisco, so that makes it pretty nice. Then we met with Kevin Mullins, the new congressman from the South District, Congressman Huffman's staff, and then we did meet with Congressman Mike Thompson. We had some good stories to tell from past, which I won't repeat, but anyway, those are.
I think we did. I think you did repeat them. I think we heard the fish.
Oh, they were good fish stories.
Yeah, see?
So in all our visitations, the Priscilla gave us full support for our projects, and Director Snyder is going to talk a little bit about who else we met with. Director Snyder?
Yeah, we met with, and then Friday morning, I will go back to one, when we met with the directors of the bridges and structures. It was really cool because after they said, hey, you guys got 5 more minutes, and they brought us up to their office. And in the gateway of the bridges and structures at the Department of Transportation, they have one bridge in the whole entryway, and it happens to be the Golden Gate Bridge, and it was their wind test model. So I don't know if they're still using those little clips on that one, but I don't think that, but it was a real neat honor that our bridge is the one that they have featured right there in the hallway. But we went on to meet with Desaulnier, Congressman Desaulnier. We had a very pleasant meeting with him, and we finished up with Owen from Congresswoman Pelosi's office. And I mean, most of what we did was we just really thanked him for the $400 million. We had a few other projects we were lobbying on, but that was the big thing. And they also, we also got to stop by my international headquarters, the operating engineers Local 3, and meet with our lobbyist. And he's been real helpful on a few of the letters on some of the things, specifically some of the Buy American waivers and whatnot. And he actually said he used our example as one of those things, like, because as a labor, we're 100% American, 100%, but that situation was such a special situation with the suicide net and the fact that it was holding up work on it and getting folks to work, that he uses that as an example of a perfect waiver for Buy American when folks are looking at those kind of things. So with that, it was a pleasure to go out there and represent the bridge. And I turned 50 when I landed there, so it was a nice. Instead of going to Mexico or something, I was running around with Dennis and Jerry.
One additional congressman we met on the street because of Chris is Congressman
Swalwell. Eric Swalwell. Yeah, we ran into him.
In addition to that,
he waved me down.
We met Hillary or Chelsea Clinton's mother-in-law.
That's right.
In the same,
At the same time.
yeah, right, and we just couldn't believe it. That's what we met. But anyway, there are other people that we met that I'm not going to talk about, but
So I'm going to actually give directors an opportunity to ask questions about these reports, but no fish stories.
Yeah.
no fish. There.
And I see none. So thank you, Directors Cochran and Snyder, for your reports. I have no communications listed. There were none this month.
There were none.
There were none this month. So the only item remaining is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and a second. We have 4 individuals in whose memory we will be adjourning. Virginia Ginny Sims, who was Director Parr's predecessor as director from Napa County from January 1991 to June 2000. Thomas Shea, former San Francisco director and supervisor. Richard Edwin Roth, father of Sergeant Todd Roth. And Lynn King, a Petaluma community member, as requested by Director Rabbit. So a moment of silence, please, for those 4 individuals. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you.